Throughout history, humanity has built countless extraordinary monuments, but a few of them still challenge everything modern science thinks it knows. Nearly 900 years ago, someone built a colossal stone temple on unstable swampland, a structure that time itself has failed to bring down. This is Angkor Wat. But how was it built? How were millions of massive stone blocks transported here? And how has a monument standing on unstable ground remained intact for nearly 9 centuries? Let's uncover the engineering behind one of history's greatest mysteries. The year was 1860. French-born explorer and historian Henri-Alexandre Mouhot traveled from Bangkok to Cambodia, following a long journey across rivers and the sea. After meeting French missionaries and corresponding with the Cambodian king, one missionary, Abbé E. Sylvestre, led him into a remote stretch of jungle, a place we now know as Angkor Wat. Mouhot's published accounts introduced this extraordinary structure to the Western world for the first time. His reports sparked intense interest across Europe, and historians soon began examining its remarkable architecture. What they found was staggering. Covering nearly 400 acres, Angkor Wat was far more than a temple. It was a masterpiece of engineering and mathematics. A 190-meter-wide moat surrounded the entire complex, while its construction required an estimated 5 to 10 million sandstone blocks. Many of these blocks weighed as much as 1.5 tons. In fact, Angkor Wat contains more stone than the Great Pyramid of Giza. But for the next 150 years, the world was looking at only the surface of the story. The real breakthrough came in April 2012. Archaeologist Damian Evans and his team mounted an advanced LiDAR, light detection and ranging system, beneath a helicopter. As millions of laser pulses penetrated the dense jungle canopy and mapped the ground below, the results changed our understanding of Angkor forever. Angkor Wat was never an isolated temple. It was part of a vast, carefully planned ancient metropolis, the world's largest pre-industrial urban complex, where temples, roads, canals, and entire neighborhoods were connected through a sophisticated network. But an even bigger mystery remained. According to modern geology, a structure of this scale should have sunk into the soft ground centuries ago. During the monsoon season, the soil expands. In the dry season, it contracts. And yet, Angkor Wat still stands. So the question is, how did ancient engineers build something as vast and complex as Angkor Wat thousands of years ago, without steel, without cranes, and without a single modern machine? The answer lies beneath the temple itself. The year was 1113. A new king had just taken the throne of the Khmer Empire, Suryavarman II. And from the moment he came to power, he had one singular vision: to build a temple that would represent the sacred Mount Meru here on Earth. But the site chosen for this extraordinary project wasn't solid bedrock. It was a vast, waterlogged swamp, ground that expanded with the monsoon rains and contracted during the dry season. And that wasn't the only challenge. Building Angkor Wat would require an estimated 5 to 10 million sandstone blocks. Yet the nearest source of that stone was Phnom Kulen, a mountain range located nearly 50 kilometers away. For decades, historians believed these massive blocks, some weighing as much as 1.5 tons, had been dragged to the site by elephants and thousands of laborers. But modern research tells a very different story. The 2012 LiDAR scans finally answered that question. Hidden beneath centuries of jungle, researchers discovered a vast network of ancient canals, the very system used to transport those millions of stones directly to the construction site. The Khmer engineers hadn't fought nature, they had used it. From the quarries at Phnom Kulen all the way to Angkor Wat, they engineered a complete canal highway. When the monsoon rains arrived and water levels rose, the massive sandstone blocks were loaded onto large bamboo rafts. The current did the rest, carrying these enormous stones directly to the site without the need for heavy human or animal labor. Only at the very end, elephants and workers would haul the blocks the final distance to the construction area. But getting the stone there was only half the challenge. The real engineering was happening at the quarry itself. Without a single cutting machine, how did they shape millions of blocks into perfectly rectangular forms? The answer was elegant. Workers drilled small holes into the stone, inserted dry wooden pegs, then poured water over them. As the wood absorbed the water and expanded, the pressure split the stone, cleanly, precisely, in a perfectly straight line. And when it came time to join those blocks together, no cement or mortar was used. Instead, the stones were placed on top of one another and ground together, slowly, repeatedly, until every trace of air between them was forced out. The friction created a natural vacuum seal so tight that today you cannot slide a single sheet of paper between them. At first glance, Angkor Wat appears to be simply a massive temple, but beneath its stones lies an engineering solution that has left modern scientists genuinely puzzled. Remember, this entire structure sits on swampland, soil that expands with the monsoon rains and contracts in the dry season. If millions of tons of stone had simply been placed directly onto that ground, the whole complex would have collapsed centuries ago. So why hasn't it? The answer lies in the Khmer engineers' mastery of water. They constructed an enormous moat around the entire temple, nearly 190 meters wide. For centuries, historians assumed it was purely defensive, a boundary, a barrier. It wasn't. That moat was Angkor Wat's most critical piece of engineering. By continuously regulating the groundwater level beneath the temple, it kept the swampy soil stable in every season, through every monsoon, across every drought. In other words, water wasn't the enemy of this structure, water was its foundation. But stabilizing the ground was only the beginning. The next challenge was holding the structure itself together without a single drop of cement or mortar. So how did 1,500 kilogram sandstone blocks stay locked in place for 900 years? The answer was gravity and compression. Khmer engineers used a technique called corner locking. Each stone was carved with such precision that the combined weight of the entire structure became its greatest source of strength. The heavier it got, the more tightly it held itself together. And on top of this invisible engineering, the architecture. The 5 towers at the heart of Angkor Wat represent Mount Meru, the sacred home of the Hindu gods. But what surprises modern scientists most isn't the symbolism, it's the astronomy. Twice a year, on the spring equinox, the sun rises in perfect alignment directly behind Angkor Wat's central tower. This was not an accident. It was the result of precise mathematical calculation, astronomy, geometry, and architecture working as one. And to hold the massive roofs of those galleries in place, without iron, without steel, the Khmer engineers used corbelled arch construction. Stones stacked in progressively narrowing layers until both sides met at the top. No support, no reinforcement, just physics. But the genius of Angkor Wat's architects didn't stop at stone and water. They also played tricks on the human eye. As you walk the main causeway toward the central tower, something strange happens. The towers appear to grow smaller as you approach, not larger. It feels like an illusion. It was. The architects deliberately varied the size of the columns and the spacing between them, manipulating perspective so precisely that the temple appears more vast, more mysterious the closer you get. Water engineering, corner locking, celestial alignment, optical illusion. All of it conceived and executed in just 37 years, producing the largest religious structure in human history. But behind its closed doors, deep inside that darkened inner sanctuary, what was actually there? Kept in place for 900 years? Step inside Angkor Wat and the structure immediately reveals its hierarchy. The entire temple was built across 3 levels, each one serving a distinct purpose. The outermost level was open to ordinary people. The second was reserved exclusively for nobles and priests, and the highest level, the Bakan, was the most sacred space in the entire complex. Only the king and the high priest could enter. At its center stood a towering statue of Vishnu, the Hindu god to whom this entire monument was dedicated. Moving deeper inside, you reach what later became known as the Gallery of 1,000 Buddhas, a cruciform cloister that connected the inner chambers of the temple. But the greatest wonder of this space wasn't visible at all. It was audible. The Khmer engineers had built echo chambers into the interior, a deliberate feat of acoustic engineering. These chambers were designed so that during prayer and meditation, even the softest chant would bounce off the walls, amplifying, layering, building, until the entire room filled with a powerful wave of sound energy. Archaeologists began reading the carvings etched into these walls. A darker secret emerged. In traditional Hindu temples, worshippers move clockwise around the sculptures and reliefs. At Angkor Wat, the entire sequence runs counterclockwise, a direction known in ancient Sanskrit as prasavya. In ancient practice, this orientation was used for one purpose only: funeral rites and death rituals. That single detail gave researchers a theory that changed everything. Angkor Wat was not only a temple dedicated to Vishnu, it was also the personal mausoleum of King Suryavarman II himself. The walls that surround this space contain the most extensive bas-relief carvings in the world. The most celebrated among them depicts one of the grandest scenes in Indian mythology: the churning of the ocean of milk. Gods and demons pulling together on a giant serpent, churning the cosmic sea in search of the elixir of immortality. And covering the walls throughout the complex, more than 2,000 apsaras, celestial nymphs carved into the stone. Look closely at any two of them. No two faces are the same. No two sets of jewelry match. No two hairstyles repeat. Over 2,000 figures, each one unique, each one carved by hand. For 900 years, this structure has stood silent, on swampland, without mortar, without machines. It doesn't need to prove anything. It already has. If ancient engineering is a story you want to keep exploring, we'll see you in the next one.